Okay, we're live. Everything seems to be working fine. How you doing? Just doing this as a live thing. Cuts the time right out as far as just recording a separate video and uploading it and all that shit. So, for my comfort and convenience more than anything else. So this is actually going to be more of a supplement to the They Must Be Destroyed on Sight podcast. So if you're into beer or whiskey or whatever, if you came for that, you're going to be sadly disappointed because this video isn't about that. It's about movies. And this can be my latest DVD purchases. And let's see here. I do have the live chat open. I don't expect anyone to jump in because I didn't preset this up or anything like that. So if people are being notified, you're just being notified now. And I don't know how long this is going to go. So taking a page from my friend and co-host of They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, Paul's playbook here. He just recently, in the last month or so, did a bunch of massive purchases, and he did 4 different videos, I think. Is it 4 videos? I have them all listed here. 5 videos. He did 5 videos, and all DVDs, soundtracks, stuff like that, mostly movie-related stuff. And, yeah, so I made a few purchases here in the last few weeks. Not as extensive as Paul's. I apparently came into a sum of money or killed someone and robbed them, or I don't know what he did, but he just went buy crazy. He bought a ton of beer as well. So there you go. And he took a trip to England recently as well. And paid for a lot of stuff there, apparently, from what I hear. So, without further ado, whatever, show you the purchases. Most of these are horror. There's only technically how many? 9 movies, but in 5 purchases. 5 separate purchases, but 9 movies. So the first 2 I'll show are sort of non-horror. And these are both releases from Kino Lorber. And the first one I'll show is 1968's The Mercenary, directed by Sergio Corbucci, Franco Nero in this one, Jack Palance in this one. And yeah, excellent spaghetti western. And Tony Musante as well. Yeah. But this is one of those ones Quentin Tarantino stole a lot of stuff from, including the music for Kill Bill, I believe. He stole from this for. And you know, it's one of those Zapata spaghetti westerns, so it sort of centers around the Mexican Revolution to a certain extent. Takes place during that period anyway in the Old West. So, but it's you know, like all the best spaghetti westerns, it's very gritty, a little over the top, a little funny, pretty badass. And there you go. So that's number 1. Second one, blaxploitation release, and this is one I had not seen. This is one I wanted to get, and this is Truck Turner, starring Isaac Hayes and Yaphet Kotto. This is pretty fucking badass. I was more than happy after watching this. Great purchase here. Kind of just flew under my radar kind of blaxploitation release, but man, I don't know why more people don't talk about how great this movie is. It's just nonstop action. It's one of those ones where the script is just totally tailored around making Isaac Hayes look like the most coolest badass ever, even though Isaac Hayes is he was kind of a mush mouth. So him speaking his lines can get a little, I can't quite understand what you're saying kind of thing. But other than that, he just sort of grabs the ball and runs with it here. And he's really, really badass in this. I'm just going to turn the music down a little. I'm a little afraid that that's taking over my talking here. We'll see. But yeah, great action in this. Isaac Hayes is doing most of his action. I don't know if he had a stuntman or not. And just a lot of badass. He's a bounty hunter and or skip tracer, as they call them these days. And he's just going after. He basically goes to war with a bunch of pimps. Yaphet Kotto is one of them. Nichelle Nichols, or Nicholas, or whatever the fuck her last name is. Uhura from Star Trek. She's in this as the wife of a pimp that he's killed while trying to track him down. And there's this really great shootout in this one in a hospital with lots of squib work going on. There's one scene where they even shoot like they have this big plastic bag, and I think it's got like a large intestine in it or something along those lines, or maybe some weird blood bag. I don't know, but they shoot it and it blows up all over the place. It's pretty fucking awesome. So that's a pretty badass film. Definitely recommended. One of the best films I've seen this year, to tell you the truth. Next up, we'll get into the horror stuff here. Here's a really fun one. Psychomania, British horror film. Bunch of unknowns in this for the most part. It does have George Sanders in his last role. He committed suicide shortly after the making of this film. And yeah, it's really great. It's basically this biker gang called the Living Dead. And you can see they have these funny helmets on. The bikes they drive are hilarious, by the way. They're the most unintimidating motorcycle gang ever as far as just the bikes they're driving. But the bike stunts in this are awesome. The script itself is pretty goddamn silly. It sort of combines sort of like druidic, pagan, witchcraft kind of nonsense in with the sort of biker exploitation sort of tropes. Could use a little bit more violence and nudity and stuff like that to maybe spice it up a bit. But this benefits from having like really fun performances, great stunt work, and the soundtrack from this is one of the best from the 70s. It's an amazing fucking soundtrack. If you don't watch the film, at least look up the soundtrack for Psychomania. You will not be disappointed if you like horror soundtracks and B-movie soundtracks and stuff like that. But yeah, Psychomania, awesome stuff. 1971, I believe it is. 72, yeah. And did I say where Truck Turner was from? 74. All right. Now we're getting down to some of the final ones here. This is a double release from the MGM Midnight Movie line, one of their double feature discs they put out. And this is one I've wanted to add to my collection for a long time, The Vampire Lovers, with Ingrid Pitt. Yeah, lesbian vampires. What can you say? And this other one, Countess Dracula. This is one I don't know. So this is going to be new to me, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. These all got special features too. This is a pretty big double feature release for the MGM Midnight Movie line, which they kind of mistreated for the most part. Yeah, both of these have audio commentaries of Ingrid Pitt. Wow. Okay. Fun. You can't go wrong with lesbian vampire action. So, and you can't go wrong with Ingrid Pitt in those roles. So there you go. And finally, we got a 4-pack here. And I was hoping this would come before my next episode of my other podcast, City of the Living Dead, that I co-host on with James Murphy. And the reason for that is because of this film here, Madhouse. The last film Vincent Price did with American International Pictures. And also the last horror film from Amicus. The last co-production between Max Rosenberg and Milton Subotsky. So there you go. We'll be covering that in the next episode of City of the Living Dead. And then this has a bunch of other Corman-produced stuff. from AIP as well. I think they're all from AIP. They're all produced by Corman anyway. All the other three. So you got the Pit and the Pendulum from 61, Tales of Terror, which is an anthology from 62, and Mask of the Red Death from 64. And they're all, of course, the Poe adaptations with Vincent Price in them. And the Roger Corman produced, and he directed the Pit and the Pendulum and Mask of the Red Death. Did he direct Tales? Oh, he directed Tales of Terror as well. Okay, so there you go. So a bunch of Corman goodness and a little bit of Amicus goodness here as well. So there you go. Those are the purchases. And I'll just check in case there was a comment, because I know someone's watching. Oh, maybe that's just me watching. All right. Yeah, but there you go. Those are the purchases. I'll probably talk more about these on the actual They Must Be Destroyed on Sight podcast in the next episode or two when we record for that. We were off for a couple weeks, but we're getting back into recording this Friday. We're going to be recording Alien Nation. So there you go. That'll be the next episode, and I'll probably talk about some of these at least on that. I also wanted to go through this for real quick. This came in the Mercenary DVD. It's the Kino Lorber Studio Classics, sort of their little brochure advertising all the stuff that they've released. Some of the stuff they've released anyway. And yeah, some of the stuff looks really interesting. They do this, they tempt me, and I end up wanting to buy more stuff from them. So good on you, Kino Lorber. They got a bunch of classics here. Most of the Kino Lorber stuff is MGM releases. I mean, almost exclusively 100% is all MGM stuff. They're sort of like the Criterion for MGM, kind of. Think of it that way, because they do like a bang-up job on all their discs, and they're generally cheaper than Criterion stuff. They do a couple releases from CBS Studios as well. But they've got Judgment at Nuremberg, Inherit the Wind, Marty, then a bunch I don't know, like Deadline USA, A Child is Waiting, I Want to Live, Paris Blues, Separate Tables, Lilies of the Field, the Gregory Peck Moby Dick. That's one I definitely want to pick up, the John Huston directed film. Elmer Gantry, Cast a Giant Shadow, Twice Told Tales. Interesting. Another Vincent Price one. War Gods of the Deep, Vincent Price and Tab Hunter. Oblong Box. Some comedies I'm not interested in. The Train. Oh, Burt Lancaster, The Train. Clark Gable and Burt Lancaster, Run Silent, Run Deep, submarine movie. Jack Palance in 10 Seconds to Hell. Gregory Peck in Anthony Perkins and Fred Astaire and On the Beach. That's a sort of an end-of-the-world picture. Nuclear war happens, and the fallout is slowly encroaching on Australia. Or is it New Zealand? I can't remember which it is, but yeah. It's actually more of a romance. It is depressing, and you know, you got to take it in context of the actual decade it was made in. But they have the Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis, the Vikings, Ernest Borgnine and Janet Leigh in that as well. Sylvester Stallone in Fist. I hope this was in his Italian Stallion days when he was doing porn. That's all I have to say. Long Goodbye, I own that. I don't know if I own the Kino Lorber version of that. I don't think I do. I think it's just the standard MGM release. Mr. Majestic, I have to pick that up. Charles Bronson film based on Elmore Leonard tale. The Sicilian Clan, that looks good. I think that's a French New Wave Mafia film. That's what it looks like. It's got Alan Delon in it anyway. Witness for the Prosecution. Couple of Scott Glenn movies. If you're not familiar who Scott Glenn is, if you've watched the Marvel TV Netflix series, he's Stick in those. The badass blind guy who can kick Daredevil's ass, basically. But yeah, Scott Glenn in The Challenge and Man on Fire. Man. Okay, so is that Denzel Washington Man on Fire, a remake of this? I have to look into that. Tommy Lee Jones in The Park Is Mine. Okay, that looks interesting. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. That's a fun film. Shield for Murder, Edmund O'Brien. Dame Hungry Killer Cop Runs Berserk. Got some. Oh, they got some more spaghetti westerns here. They got. Oh yeah, Face to Face. Thomas Millian. Burt Reynolds playing an Indian in Navajo Joe. Sabata, I own Sabata. I have the whole trilogy. And they have some of their low rent stuff here. Michael Dudikoff, Avenging Force. Stryker, Chuck Norris, and Eye for an Eye. Haunted Honeymoon. David Lynch's Wild at Heart with Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. Huh. There's a lot of cool stuff on this, man. This could make me broke really quick. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Charles Bronson and Breakheart Pass. That's one I got to pick up at some point. The Pit. The one with the Trolologs. The little kid who feeds people to the monsters in the pit. The Onion Field. Miracle Mile. And Burnt Offerings. Holy shit. I should get the Burnt Offerings one. That's Offerings. That's for sure. Great Train Robbery. And I own Mulholland Falls, but that's the old MGM DVD. I might have to double dip on that one if it's got good extras. And 52 Pickup, that's definitely one I need to pick anyway. So anyway, in conclusion, there's some other people who joined in late. Just quickly go over the purchases again, and then we'll end this video. So we're not going too long here. So I have this 4 films, Vincent Price horror. This is just sort of one of those budget things, but it looks like at least they're good prints. So Pit and the Pendulum, Tales of Terror, Mask of the Red Death, and Madhouse. So there you go. These are all films I didn't own, so that's a good 4-pack to purchase. Sometimes you buy into these packs because they only have like one film that you don't own, but you've wanted to get for so long, so you have to double dip. But thankfully, I didn't have to. The double feature from the old MGM's Midnight Movies lineup: Vampire Lovers and Countess Dracula. Countess Dracula is one I've never seen before, so I wanted to check that one out. And Vampire Lovers is this one I wanted in my collection for the longest time. So win-win there. Psychomania, British biker horror film. Blaxploitation film, and I say right now, after only having watched it once, a fucking stone cold classic, Truck Turner with Isaac Hayes. And one of the best spaghetti westerns ever made, Sergio Corbucci's The Mercenary with Franco Nero, Jack Palance. Who was the other guy? Tony Musante, yeah. Keep forgetting him. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and we're going to go offline now. Have a good one. Bye-bye.